If there is no value delivery, then you have not done transformation. Transformation is not an end in itself. Plan is different from strategy. Automation is not equal to transformation. You can automate and you did not transform anything.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Next Phase Podcast. Today we have Korede Oluwamola as a guest today. Korede is a seasoned transitional leader with over 16 years of proven success in leading the design, development, and implementation of complex, sustainable analytical solutions. He's recognized for leveraging cutting-edge technology to drive business transformation, streamline operations, and deliver significant value. He's adept at turning customer requirements into high-impact products and services that drive efficiency, productivity, and growth. Thank you very much, Korede, for joining us on the Next Phase podcast today.
Thank you, Ade, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you for that introduction.
All right. Okay. Could you start by sharing with us a bit of your journey? How did you get into the world of transformation and analytics?
Okay. Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and I think it's just going to take us down the memory lane. It started sometimes around 2011. Um, when I left my first job, I got a gig with a consulting firm in Nigeria. And the assignment was to transform the operations, organizational structure of an entity, a Nigerian entity. I'm not going to mention names, but they are actually into oil and gas marketing, big on it. But I was coming from a different background. It was the first course for me, first transformation implementation course, where we had to do a lot of process optimization, reengineering, and automation. We had to come up with organizational structure and also introduce them to cutting edge tools that they could use to improve their efficiencies, operational efficiencies, and effectiveness. Yeah, so that was my first journey. And after that, I developed a lot of interest in transformation, right? Especially around the digital world. And I begin to inquire more to look at how do I establish myself in this field. And of course, that led me into different aspects of technology, starting from business analysis and all of those. And yes, that's every other thing is their own stories, and that has helped me so far. And that's just the journey, and that's how I got into digital transformation space.
Thank you. So, thank you for sharing your journey with us. I know you have been in this space for over 16 years. What has been or maybe what has been some of the defining moments in your career that has shaped your approach towards digital transformation?
Okay, yeah. The defining moment for me in my career came in 2016. This is 5 years after I went into the world of transformation. And how did it change? Then I was working with a Nigerian bank, one of the big banks in Nigeria, who just acquired subsidiaries across Africa. And we had to implement some transformation, process transformation, business transformation, and also implement for them some technology that will help them begin to automate their processes and change the way they work and the way they deliver services to the customer. Then I was working more as a business analyst, okay, trying to understand the need of these particular entities, okay, across different domains and across different countries. For me, um, the defining moment for me then was the fact that the understanding of the people side of change, okay, how important the people side of transformation is. Prior to that, I had paid more emphasis on the technology and also on the process side, not really understanding how important the people side are, or the people side is rather. Okay, so this moment came, and I begin to now understand that the people itself, right, is sits at the core of transformation, and not
Mm.
the process, not the technology, not the data we all talk about in today's world, right? So that's and how did I get that insight, or how did I get that mentality change, or mindset change rather, was,
Mm.
why trying to pitch to them, or trying to understand their need. There was a lot of differences, and this difference came because there are different countries speaking, the francophone countries, language barriers, communication differences, and which made it difficult for me to actually get through to the people and be able to drive the essence of the transformation to them, and make them to understand the vision and the big picture, what we're trying to achieve. Um, because of that, it was difficult to get buy-ins, and we were not moving at the pace that we wanted to move. Right, so we had to change. We went back, and we went back to re-strategize and see how we need to first integrate the people into the transformation roadmap, for them to have a good and deep understanding of what we are trying to do, the transformation. Okay, then before we now start, or before we continue with the other items in the roadmap. So this was actually a very defining moment for me that helped me to redefine my mindset about digital transformation.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that journey to us. I know some of the listeners or some of the people that watching the video will be like, we've been talking about digital transformation, digital transformation. How can you define digital transformation just for people that don't really understand or they are confused on what digital transformation is?
All right, thank you, Ade, for that. So for me as a person, I would say digital transformation is a form of business transformation, right? That utilizes digital technologies and capabilities uh, to bring about innovation that changes the way of working. That's one. Two, that changes the uh, the target operating model. That's two, and also that changes the the service offerings and the way in which the services they are offered or delivered to the customers. Okay, across the entire organization touch points, right? So in essence, what we're saying is that digital transformation is nothing but utilizing technology or digital capabilities, okay, to change an organization from one state to another, to enable the organization to deliver consistent value, okay? Because if there is no value delivery, then you have not done transformation, okay? So there has to be moving from point A to point B to deliver consistent value to the customers, to the shareholders, to the stakeholders, and whosoever that is also important to the organization.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So at the end of any form of transformation, there must be a value that is being offered. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are some of the greatest or biggest misconception that organizations have about digital transformation? I know maybe the organization definitely is expecting value, fine. But what are other like things that are like misconception for them about digital transformation?
Okay, thank you, Ade, for that question. See, when I was trying to explain to you my a defining moment that changed or that changed my mindset about digital transformation, you
Yeah,
recall I mentioned that initially my thought or my mindset about digital transformation was tilting towards technology and process
process. Yeah.
with very little emphasis on the people.
Mm,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So I tell you, um, uh, uh, these misconceptions are huge. There's a lot of them, but I'm going to narrow down to five of them.
Okay.
Okay, five critical misconceptions. So the first one that I'll talk about is a lot of organizations see digital transformation as a technology only activity.
Mm,
Okay,
yeah.
so the focus is only on technology. So when I say focus is only on technology, they're only looking at transformation from process automation without looking at the embodiment of the process itself. What makes up the process? Is the process optimal or suboptimal? Do we even have to, is this process relevant to continue to support the the value stream or the capabilities of the organization, right? So, but all we focus on is technology, and we just automate the process, and we think we have done transformation. That's a big misconception. Okay. Number two that I will talk about is lack of strategic alignment. Okay. A lot of organizations set out digital transformation agenda or plans. Plan is different from strategy.
Mm,
Okay. We just come up with our agenda with plan. There is no strategic alignment to drive that plan or that agenda. Okay, and we begin to see, it goes anywhere. Um, and also, thirdly, I will say we look at digital transformation as an end in itself. A lot of organization sees digital transformation as an end in itself, right?
mm,
That is, what does that mean? They look at it to say digital transformation is something, they run it like a project, okay? That we can start now and we finish it in 3 years. Whereas in reality, digital transformation is a going concern. It's a continuous exercise, right? It is not a contingency.
mm,
Why is it not a contingency? It's because the marketplace, competitor, even the customers, right? They keep changing. They change. These days, they change per seconds.
yeah.
Now, not talk about technology, right? We've seen how fast technology is advancing and evolving.
Mm,
Okay, so you cannot put an end time to digital transformation, right? The number four, we we look at it and say that digital transformation is automation is equal to transformation. And I think I've mentioned that earlier. Automation is not equal to transformation. You can automate and you did not transform anything, right? Automation, if you take a bad process and you automate it, what you have done is you have created more operational problems, okay? And two, you have not delivered value. And don't forget my definition of digital transformation, that the
Value.
change must deliver consistent value. Okay? So automation is not equal to transformation, because if you right. And lastly, I would say that there's this also some misconception, and I've seen it also in some books where they try to equate digital transformation to business agility or organizational agility. Okay, business digital transformation is not equal to business or agility. What does this mean? Because we are transforming, or we are actually embarking on transformation, does not mean that the organization is agile.
Mm,
Agility is a mindset and is a way of working, right, of an organization. So a big misconception around that, a lot of organizations sees when they're doing transformation, then all of a sudden they tag themselves to say, "Oh, we are agile entity. We are an agile organization." So these are 5 misconceptions that I've seen from experience that are very pronounced in
mm.
a lot of organizations.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Out of the five misconceptions that you have shared, the one that really stood out for me is um automation not equals to transformation, because many organizations, especially now that AI is involving, everybody is trying to incorporate AI into their process and things like that. But at the end of the day, that does not mean that that is transformation at the end result. It might be a process that is going to lead to transformation. But if everything is not like done in line with every other part of the organization, every part of the process, and like you mentioned, the people part too, then at the end, they struggle, right? They don't get the value that they are expecting. And also the one that you were talking about, that it's not the end, it's continuous. So yeah, I've learned a lot from you breaking that those misconceptions to highlight the what is applicable and what is true about digital transformation. So, in your experience, I know will be talking about digital transformation leading to value, um, and so on. What separates transformation project that are successful to the ones that fail, apart from maybe the end goal of value?
Okay, what separates, it's about, when you look at it, I'll see it from, let's say, 2 critical angles, okay,
Okay.
or 2 critical prongs. The factors that separate a successful implementation, digital transformation project from the ones that fail. Number one, that is very critical, is leadership and ownership. Leadership and ownership is something that we cannot do away with when we embark on digital transformation or even business transformation, as the case may
Mm,
be, right? And what we have seen is that a lot of organizations just set up transformation agenda and assign it to a group or a unit or a department without the right leadership and without being owned at the top management level. For transformation to be successful, right? it has to be honed at the top executive level. And most often than not, from what I've seen in organizations where transformation is successful, it has to be owned by the CEO, the chief executive officer, right? And is the one that is driving the transformation and empowers the team, the transformation team, okay, to execute fearlessly and ruthlessly. Okay. Second, that looks is similar to it, but not the same, is the fact that a lot of for your transformation to be for transformation project to be effective or to be successful, there has to be strong strategic alignment. Okay. And don't forget, when we were talking about some of the misconceptions, right? We talked about the strategic alignment, and we also talk about the fact that, yes, we also talk about the fact that there's a focus on technology only. So we have seen that pitfall is a pitfall for digital transformation. We only look at, okay, what do we need? We need to implement new technology. We need to change our ERP to upgrade it to the latest version.
Yeah.
But what is this? What problem is that upgrade going to solve for the organization? What change is that technology upgrade is it going to bring to the organization? And when we look at it, how is that particular imperative aligned with the strategy, with the strategic direction of the organization? You see, that lack of strategic direction, it is a huge, I'll put it, a huge hole in execution or implementation of digital transformation. Because we're just going to be buying technology, implementing technology, and then at the end of the day, is actually not going to help to drive the business. It's not going to help the business to improve customer acquisition. It's not going to help the business to improve the customer experience. So what that means is that adoption is not going to drive adoption. So at the end of the day, that project is going to be termed as failed projects. Right?
Yeah.
And lastly, just to quickly mention this, which is worth mentioning, is the fact that we are, where we have execution without clear expected business outcome. You see, we've set out our digital transformation projects or agenda. However, there are no clear expected business outcomes that we want to derive from these activities or from this project. Then there is 90% or even 99% chance that such project is going to fail. Why? Because when you deliver, most times, like I said, this transformation business, for the people who are implementing, what comes to their mind is to buy new technology, is to automate process, right? Is to implement, mobile banking, internet banking, go digital. Okay? But when you are doing this, what are you expected to deliver for the business? Now, when I say the business now looks at it as an organization. What do I want to use this to achieve in terms of value and service to my customers? That's one. How do I want my customer to view and to see me? How do I want to position myself in the market? Right? How do I want to compete against my competitors? What advantage, competitive edge do I want to use this to gain? Right? All of this, if it's not defined from the beginning and we're just running, then there's a huge likelihood. A likelihood that that project is actually going to fail.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that. I know when you started talking about this, you mentioned something about leadership and ownership, and you mentioned that
Yes.
the CEO have to be the leader of this transformation. So, what do you believe are the quality of a good transformation leader in order to successfully manage this transformation?
Okay. The quality is numerous. When I say numerous, is a lot, but I'm going to summarize them into three buckets. Okay. I'm going to put it into three buckets. One is that leader needs to first have what we call strong business acumen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking at strong business acumen for the leader. Okay. Two, he needs to have what we call strategic insights. Okay. Three, he has to be a visionary. A visionary, that is, he has to be visionary. He should be able to see the whole, that is the big picture, even right from the beginning. Okay. He also needs to be adaptable, right? Adaptable. When I say adaptable, he has to be agile.
Mm.
This is flexible. It can, is malleable, because you can't be rigid when you are driving transformation. We can set out our strategy and our agenda today, and of course, the market is dynamic.
Yeah.
Everything about it is dynamic. It's not static. A lot of things could change. Regulation could change. The tastes of our customers, the fashion, of our customers, and even technology could change. Then, as a transformation leader, you need to know how to navigate your way around those changes and still achieve your vision, your goals. Okay?
Yeah.
And then, as that leader, he also needs to have strong emotional intelligence. Okay? You need a lot of it. You need to be able to influence. You need to be able to motivate. Okay? Because you need to influence people, influence decision, because transformation, like I said, is, for it to be successful, has to be driven from the top. Okay, so it means as the transformation leader, you're going to be interfacing with the executives. So you have to have that demeanor, that capacity to be able to influence even decision making right at the top. I need that personality that will help you to motivate the people on the ground, the boots on the ground, who are running, who are doing the execution, who are running the BAU, day-to-day activities. Okay, so these are just things, the qualities or the skills that I can quickly put together here for us to focus on. If we dig down, begin to break each of these, there's humongous, huge set of skills or qualities that we can derive from this.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So emotional intelligence, strategic impact, be a visionary, strong business acumen. Yeah, those are good quality. Thank you. Okay. So for professionals who are looking into transitioning into digital transformation roles, What skills or mindset should they focus on developing?
Okay, thank you very much. Transitioning to digital transformation, um, like I said, it's not just about digital transformation is not just about leveraging new technologies or technical skills or capabilities. So for someone who wants to transition to digital transformation or who wants to take up any role in digital transformation,
Yeah.
um, his focus should not be on first looking at technology. Saying, like now everybody is talking about AI. There's AI bubble, AI frenzy everywhere. Um, you can be tempted to now begin to say, oh, that for me to be successful or for me to transition to digital transformation, I need to focus on AI. Now, that would be taking a wrong step, okay? Because digital transformation in itself, like I mentioned, is not all about technology. Neither is it all about technical skills, right? But it's an embodiment of capabilities, okay? An embodiment of capabilities that that transforms our mindset and the way we think, okay? That brings about change, that helps us to innovate consistently, right? So I will advise anyone who wants to transition to digital transformation uh, role to focus on these three things.
Mm.
Okay, one, you need to first develop what we call a strategic mindset. Develop strategic mindset. Very, very important. What do I mean by strategic mindset? You need to develop systems thinking. You need to develop structured thinking, right? You need to develop some analytical and logical reasoning thought because you have to be able to break down big problems into chunks and
Mm.
understand how you are able to connect the dots to form a whole.
Mm.
So these are, and you also need to understand the connection between what you're doing to the organization well-being as a whole.
Mm.
How is what I'm going to do going to impact the organization? So this strategic mindset is very important because it embodies a whole lot of things. Okay. Number two, now you have to have what we call digital literacy. Digital literacy does not necessarily mean that you have to acquire the core technical or deep technical skills for you to be able to develop AI models, for example, or for you to be able to build solutions. No. But the digital literacy is for you to understand the business side and the day-to-day use of this technology, okay? And as an enabler, how you can use it, how you can use it to change or to transform an activity, how you can use it to implement automation, how you can use it to support the business and the people and also to support employees to improve their efficiency and effectiveness. Okay.
Mm.
And lastly, I'll talk about what we call the adaptive mindset. The adaptive mindset is very important because you see, we are in a world that changes so fast. Now, things change fast. We see uh, how technology is evolving and how technology continues to influence the way of life of everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So what that means is for you to be successful as a digital transformation professional, you need to learn how to adapt to new technology, to new ways of working, to new organizational structure, to new target operating models, okay, and also to new solutions in general. So these are the three things I would advise, or the three capabilities, not things, three capabilities. They are not skills, because they are under them. There are skills that we can tell you to begin to acquire or to learn. But these are three key capabilities or competencies that anyone who wants to transition to digital transformation roles should possess.
The process. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. We are coming to an end of this episode. I just want you to say one key takeaway that you want the listener to remember about navigating transformation in their own space.
Okay, so for me, the key takeaway is that we need to understand that transformation is not an end in itself. Okay, transformation is a means to an end, and transformation is a continuous and ongoing activity. Okay, so it is not a project it will start and end.
Mm.
Two, transformation. When we talk about digital transformation, it is not all about technology. Okay, so we have to understand that, and also put it at the back of our mind that any transformation that does not lead to consistent value delivery, right, is a failed transformation.
Thank you so much. It has been a really impactful section listening to information about transformation, digital transformation, business transformation, and how to be effective leader when it comes to transformation. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. And for our listener, remember to like, subscribe, and share this information or share this video to your friends so that they can also watch and gain all this valuable insight that we have learned today. Thank you so much and see you in the next episode. Bye.